Welcome to the August 12th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission. Please join me. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Roll call.
Yep, everyone is here except for Kent Porter and a vacant position. We do have a quorum today. You'll notice on the agenda, we have election of chairperson and secretary. Doyle O'Reilly did resign from the Planning and Zoning Commission. That was effective about a month ago. He was a chairperson, so we do need to elect another chairperson. Typically, we elect the chairperson and the secretary about the June meeting, sometimes July meetings, depending on who's around. So we need to go ahead and do secretary as well. So if, Paula, if you don't mind, open up for nominations for chairperson.
Sure. Do you have any nominations for chairperson or volunteers?
You got the gavel.
I nominate Paula.
Second, Paula.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Or do I have to ask
You
for
can say, ask
comments?
if are there other nominations?
Well, yeah, are there other nominations? But everybody seconded
Yeah.
it.
That's okay.
All right. Yeah, aye.
And then,
All in favor, or all opposed?
thank you,
All right, who wants to be secretary?
secretary.
Secretary have to take notes?
No, they don't take notes.
Okay.
They just sign minutes, attest to drawings, things like that.
Sign the flag.
Who's the current secretary?
Kent Porter is the current secretary.
Well, since he's not here today.
Any other nominations?
I'm going to move nomination cease, and there's some terminology for that. Call
Call
the
for
question or
the
something, call the
question.
action, yeah, call the question.
Call the question, that mean no
Move
word?
nomination cease and call the question.
Sure.
And that means
Somebody-
no more discussion.
No more discussion.
Somebody make that motion?
So moved.
All right, so,
A second,
second,
Wyatt?
okay.
Okay.
So that ceases the discussion, or that was the second for Kent? Okay.
Yep,
So,
all those in favor?
all those in favor of Kent Porter as secretary? Aye. All opposed? All right.
On the chairperson, we had Shannon made the motion. And who was the second? I didn't get the second.
Everybody. Just pick one.
Wyatt, seconded.
I'm gonna blame you though, you sat in here with the gavel. All right. Consent agenda. Any comments or questions about the old meeting notes? Entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the last month's agenda.
Second.
I second.
All right. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. New business. The item 3A is proposed code amendment to the zoning regulations. The staff, I'm sure you have comments.
Yes, we got some staff comments. This is a public hearing too, so after my staff comments, you want to open the
Open
floor
it.
for public hearing. We don't have any, well, we do have some people in the audience. Carolyn Yatsuk is our Economic Development Director. She's in the audience online.
Line, okay.
I don't expect that she has any comments. She would just want to attend the meeting today.
Yep.
So yes, there's a proposed code amendment to Chapter 405 zoning regulations and Chapter 410 subdivision regulations. This kind of came about from the meeting the last couple of months regarding Westwood North, or the preliminary plat. So we're proposing some changes for you that I summarized in the board memo. I wouldn't mind going through that memo and identifying the 15 proposed changes, and if somebody wants to talk a little bit further in detail, we can flip through the subdivision regulations. We'd left a copy in your packet of the subdivision regulations, and if you're a color, you can see additions would be in blue and underlined, and then strike through represents what might be removed from that. Seems like a long list, but it's not too drastic a change in the code. So the change to Chapter 405 zoning regulations would add a new section 405.174 to create alternative development standards, application review procedure. The idea here is, as part of subdivision regulations, if somebody proposed a preliminary plat that maybe didn't meet the full letter of our minimum design standards, but met the intent of the code, maybe had a better design or an alternate that it still complies with the code but does it in a different way, then they could go through that alternative design process. An example of that to me would have been with the Westwood North and the landscape buffer section where we require a 50-foot landscape buffer at the back of a lot, so you make the lots deeper. If somebody came with a proposal that said, well, we would prefer to have that 50-foot buffer in the form of an HOA tract and not on the back of the lots, still meets the intent of the ordinance, but done a different way, alternative design standard would be a route to go. That's the only proposed change in the zoning regulations. Excuse me, the rest of the changes would be tied to the subdivision regulations. So at 410.045, excuse me, the advisory and pre-application meeting would be modified to add a development review committee, which we have. So we have different people in different departments come together in a meeting as a pre-application meeting with an applicant, so then they can have questions answered. Fire district, public works, community development. The way our current code is written, it's basically just community development department. So we want to expand that a little bit. Modification number 3, 410.050A is a clarification that allows the public works director or city engineer to also request technical studies as part of a review of a preliminary plat. A change to 410.055B and C, which strengthens the requirement that application submittals must be complete, reduces the number of paper copies. So right now it says you must submit 10 large paper copies. We haven't done that for years. We want to modify the code to reflect how we do that today. 1 paper copy, 1 electronic copy. And then if you have a surrounding property owner list, then you need to submit that in the form of a mailing label, something that we can prepare mailing labels quickly and easily rather than retyping of a list. The next change would be 410.010.055.f, which updates the subdivision application fees. That's really important because our current fees are based on the number of subdivision lots that you have. It's a couple of dollars per lot. Well, if you have a small subdivision, it still requires time to go through a review process. If it's a commercial development where there are even fewer lots and it's not a subdivision, the fees can be a lot lower. So we've modified the fees. So if it's a residential subdivision, there's a per lot fee. It's just more than it used to be. Commercial is based on an acreage, so the size of the development project rather than the number of lots. And the next change would be 410.055.h, which reduces the need for paper submittals and clarifies the need for preliminary plats to be stamped and licensed by a surveyor engineer. That's required by the state, just the verbiage wasn't in our code. 410.055.h. I'm sorry?
On that, it's number 6, is that stamped prior to submittal or stamped once you?
As part of your submittal. Yeah, preliminary plat.
You may have issues with that. A lot of engineers won't stamp working documents until it's approved. It's a working document.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind.
Okay. You can maybe have the city attorney look at that and verify if the language is okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna flip my pages to. Okay, the next change would be 410.055.h.10, so we're in the minimum design standards section. That section, new language would require lot dimensions and area be included on the preliminary plat. So this gets to our discussion at the previous meeting about the lot data table. 410.055.h.13 removes the requirement for the lot data table with total acreage and size of each lot, but also require that you must label each lot with a number. So what we will get instead of a lot data table, now we would have each lot numbered and the dimensions of each of those lots identified on the lot, and then have the square footage or acreage of that lot shown as well. It comes in handy when you need to verify that the dimensions are at least 75 feet by 110 and the minimum lot size is at least 8,250 square feet. It's hard to do that if the information's not on the plat. Change number 9, 410.055.h.24. And that requires a written narrative from the applicant that includes the purpose of their preliminary plat, proposed uses, and how they will meet the standards of the development code. Typically, we get the drawing and we prepare staff comments and it gets presented and the applicant provide comments, but we'd like them to include a narrative and explain the purpose of their project and how it will benefit the city. Change number 10, 410.055.i, which extends the preliminary plat review period to 60 days, which is a state statute. Right now, we have 30 days. It only makes sense to give a little time just in case something might be tabled for a month. And it also would identify the planning and zoning meeting date as the official submittal date. Again, it gives P&Z some additional time if there's an issue and it becomes a tabled application. Change number 11, 410.055.j, authorizes the applicant to move forward with final plat with their review and approval. Just adds a couple of words of clarification. They can move forward with preparing an application for submittal that we will then review, just not automatic approval. Change number 12 is 410.055.k, which clarifies Planning Zoning Commission may allow modifications that provide a higher standard of development, ensure the adequacy of streets and utilities, and promote public health, safety, and welfare. So we're looking, we have minimum design standards. We want to hold you to minimum design standards, and any modifications must be better than what those minimums are. Number 13 is 410.k.1b, which modifies the language of the landscape buffer strip. And in that, we thought if it backs up to a public street, that a narrower than 50-foot wide buffer would be okay. And we keep the 50-foot buffer along the railroad right-of-ways and the interstate. But with the narrower buffer comes some landscaping. Some subdivisions, they do the berms and the trees. We'd like to see something between those lots and the street right-of-way. Change number 14. 410.060.c.1 extends the final plat review period to 60 days from 30. And then change 15 is to section 410.065.a.1.c, which extends the lot split minor subdivision plat review period to 60 days as well. If any of the board members would like to go into a little more detail on the changes, let me know. There's a public hearing, so you need to open the floor to a public hearing. Public comment.
All right, open the floor to public comment, public hearing. Do you guys have anything? Anybody online have anything? Okay,
Seeing none, close
close
the public hearing.
the public hearing. Commission comments, questions for staff? I have one question. If you know, when were the original prices set?
They were in place before I started working here, so we've been consistent. Yeah. And I would almost say very development friendly, really, by not changing those particular fees.
I just wanted clarification on the buffer strips. There's where we talk like number 6, a wall or fence consisting of a unified and consistent design and materials. I'm assuming that you're talking there. It's not, this would be separate from anything that a homeowner would want to do. This is something that the developer is going to put
Right,
in, and it's going to
right.
be a consistent look all the way
Right.
down the road.
Exactly, yeah,
Okay.
if the developer up front proposes a fence along the right-of-way, along that buffer, show us what kind of fence it will be.
And this is maybe a little bit off topic, but many years ago, we used to see something on our agenda that a lot of the new developments would do park fee in lieu of land donation. Do we still do that? Okay.
Every building, yeah.
And is that still the $325 per lot? Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Well, I have a motion.
I'll read it verbatim. I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend the Board of Aldermen approve the amendments to Chapter 405 zoning regulations and Chapter 410 subdivision regulations as recommended by staff.
Second.
Any additional comments, discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right,
And Shannon, we'll have somebody look at your comment and make sure that language is allowed.
so no old business. Then the enclosures, anything on the
Typical
fly?
building permit, yeah, our typical building permit. We actually did have, there was a month in there where we had 16 permits we issued, I think, in
Saw
June.
that.
All right, no, 12 in June, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Which is quite a chunk.
Where were those? Where were those?
There was Landing, Greenfield, might have been 1 or 2 in Dovecote.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, well, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Done.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, you set the standards.